I was introduced to the concept of sustainability at a very young age, maybe around 4 or 5 years old. When I saw my grandmother conserving the orange peels after we ate them, slice them beautifully, and turn them into a delicious jam. I also remember her telling us to collect our apricot seeds, to crack them open after and enjoy the sweet almond inside, and plant the rest in the garden. I also remember every summer and every winter, we had a ritual with my parents to go through our unused items and donate them to charities and orphanages. In the family and culture that I grew up in, we were taught to consider the feelings and needs of others and appreciate nature and try our best to take care of them. We were taught to be grateful and content with what we have and to treat everyone with respect and care. These values are the foundation of my sustainable behaviors. Once the foundation is there, we need a system to protect it and to serve us to achieve sustainability. Although cultural awareness and education are fundamental, but individual efforts, if they are not regulated or benchmarked in a systematic way, unfortunately, they're not enough. To change for sustainability, we need individual efforts and systematic efforts. Now, they say sustainability is a systematic, wicked problem. And wicked problems as such need holistic approach. So let's pause for a minute and look at the definition of these terms that can help us to illustrate better. Holistic approach means to understand the problem as a whole, to understand the relationship of all parts, and to understand that everything is connected. And sustainability is defined by the United Nations as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. To put it simply, it's about the interconnectedness of all people and all aspects of the world. It's about recognizing that the health of the planet is linked to the well-being of the society and the economy. It's to understand that how everything is connected. It's to understand how our small decisions can have an impact on the planet. Let's say, using your digital devices, which might sound a very innocent, small act, but it has an impact. Do you want to see how it's connected? The mining of the materials used in the electronic devices, such as cobalt, often takes place in developing countries under very dangerous and exploitative conditions, and is linked to the environmental degradation, human rights violation, and child labor. So this is how our decisions can have an impact at the present moment. And these technologies and devices, they need energy to run, right? This process releases a vast amount of CO2 into the atmosphere, which significantly and negatively impacts the climate change. The magnitude of the impact is comparable with the aviation industry. So you can see how this could be connected to the near future and the quality of life. That's why it's called a systematic problem. And that's why we say we need a holistic approach to solve it, because we need to look at many different angles of the problem. And when we are talking about systematic problems, we should remember that we as humans, as a community, as a society, we have seen many of these systematic problems, and we have come up with extraordinary solutions. And since we are talking about systems, I couldn't think of anything more systematic than a project. Projects touch tons of things around the globe, and they are associated with the desire to change for the better. However, the traditional success factors that we have learned might not be sufficient to be sustainable. That's why I think we should work differently and rethink our success factors. Traditionally, the success of a project is measured by 3 criteria: scope, cost, and time, known as the Iron Triangle. You might have heard about it. But as we are facing global challenges every day, these 3 cannot be enough. It's becoming clear that we need to add the element of sustainability as one of the success factors in a project. I like to see it as a circle that embraces the triangle. And I'm not the first one talking about this subject. Thankfully, there are researchers from Project Management Institute and Project Management World Journal who have come up with the idea of embedding sustainability into the project lifecycle. As project managers, we have an extraordinary opportunity to embed sustainability in every stage of our project, from design to planning to the delivery of the project. By doing so, we can ensure not only to deliver the immediate goals, but also contribute to the sustainable future for all. So once we have added the sustainability as a success factor, we can then break it down into different criteria to give a coherence to our efforts. Based on my experience as a project manager and a digital specialist, I see 4 main factors that should be prioritized in the delivery of the sustainable project. First and foremost is human factors. I insist incorporating impact assessment in your projects. Understanding the needs of different groups of people within your project, especially those who are underrepresented and might get affected by your project. Those with different race, different ethnical background, those with different needs, with different disabilities, those who identify themselves as with different type of gender identity. In fact, when we are talking about underrepresented groups, it's not only involving humans. It can also be about animals and nature. When we are identifying the stakeholders of our project, do we also consider them? Do we think about satisfying them as well? To leverage different perspectives within your assessment, I encourage you to consider cultural diversity and inclusion in your project teams. This way, you can hear more perspectives and different angles of the problems. The second factor is leveraging data and analytics. We know that data doesn't lie, but it's important how you interpret it. So be honest to your data, and don't try to interpret it the way you want. It's important to invest in your data literacy and see the gaps and the shortfalls and the areas that you can improve. And try to set realistic measurement criteria so you can track your progress over your life cycle of the project towards sustainable milestones. I think it's also very important to see the broader perspective of the impact of your project. It's not enough only to focus on your immediate goals, but you have to see where else you can have an impact. A good starting point could be to familiarize yourself with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 areas where you can see the bigger picture, how you can help the environmental, socioeconomic, and humanitarian goals. And last but not least is about understanding the interconnectedness and the indivisibility of sustainable goals. Imagine a project. Every task relies on each other to succeed the project. For sustainable world, we all rely on each other, on our governments, on our policymakers, to make an effort and to drive towards the shared vision, towards sustainable future for all. As project managers, we have the opportunity to think of all these factors from inside out and to think from bottom to top. So I challenge you next time for your projects, regardless of its size or nature, personal or professional, try to embed these factors to make your project more sustainable. Because we have no time to lose. Only when the last orange tree has died, or the last glacier has melted, or the last fish is caught, will we then come to the realization of what we are risking? To promote sustainability in a project, we need to cultivate a mindset towards empathy for others, and not just humans, but other living beings. This could be the system of thinking and working that can help us to protect and to serve towards achieving sustainability. But it's important to remember that at the core of sustainability lies our personal responsibilities and our commitment and willingness to change. And this way, we can make meaningful and positive change towards a sustainable future for all. Thank you.